day for me, and I think for everyone selected. I think from day one we were very clear that we are trying to select and build the best possible team, which is not necessarily to select and collect the 26 most talented players. Teams win championships, it's as simple as that. And what we are trying to achieve in summer can only be achieved as a team. That in mind, we chose a very balanced squad. We chose 3 goalkeepers plus Jason Steele. I want to take the opportunity and thank Jason for being brilliant, and thank Brighton for being so cooperative and supportive. We choose 9 defenders for 4 positions. We chose 7 midfielders for 3 positions, and we chose 7 strikers for 3 positions. I can assure every fan in the country that we have 26 100% committed players in camp with us who know their role, who are ready to buy into their role on and off the pitch, and who are ready and committed to the idea of team spirit and being unselfish. The squad, I think, has a significant number of players that will compete for starting minutes and starting places. That gives us also the chance to rotate on a very high level. And a significant number carry the sportive responsibility on highest level. We have a huge chunk of usefulness in the squad. We have 6 players who won titles with the under-21s. We have Kobe, who is still young and has already won his titles. We have Nico O'Reilly on top, who is very young and has already won his medals. We have specialists with us, specialists for all kinds of different scenarios. When we're leading, when we're chasing a game, when we're chasing a result. We always said we want to be a strong set-piece team, so we have specialists for that, and we want to be a strong penalty team. We have specialists for that. And last, and for sure not least, we have a decent leadership group in camp. We have a decent leadership group with us in the World Cup. The leadership group took care and ownership in a very special way from September onwards. They created a culture, they set the tone, they set the standards, created and took care of the standards, and we were very happy with that. And that is why the majority of this team and that this majority of the selection is from the players who were with us in September, October and November. It's important for me to say that I am very grateful to all players who helped us qualify, to all players who had sometimes only 1 of 6 camps with us. Very grateful, and I tried to show my respect and my appreciation for what they have done in telling them in personal phone calls in the last 3 days about my decision. So I called every player that was at least once with us personally to tell them my decision, even if it was a painful decision or it was a disappointing message. We believe that it has to be delivered from me. I will not go into details, of course, but I tried to explain and explain my decision and try to express my appreciation and respect for the player. No more questions? Good.
Hundreds, I'm afraid.
Hundreds.
Yeah. Tom, it's nice to see you, and thanks for explaining that. That's very helpful. You've surprised us again. I want to start with perhaps what we thought was the biggest surprise, and that's Ivan Toney's inclusion. He's played a total of 7 minutes of international football in your 16 months in charge. He wasn't on a lot of people's radar, and yet here he is in your World Cup squad.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to us?
Also a bit of a surprise to us. But like I said, when it came down to all different kinds of scenarios, he was back in the picture. I had fantastic feedback from his coach from his club coach, who was my player, and I have a close connection with him. I had always fantastic feedback about his role there, about his ability, about his fitness. We could see that he still collects the numbers. I think he has very special skills that could help us, meaning the situation, the scenario when we are chasing a result, when we're chasing a goal. I think he can be a very valuable addition to Harry Kane. He can be a presence in the box when we're pushing for a goal. He can take attention of other strikers. He has a natural presence within the box. He's a natural finisher. He can help us with set pieces because he's very strong in the air, very good in using his body, and not to forget, he's a world-class penalty taker. So he ticks some boxes that we wanted to be ticked.
You've made it clear again in your opening statement that reputation, big names are not necessarily what matters to you, it's how they fit in the collective. And you've said that consistently, I think, in all your time in charge, to be fair. But there are some world-class talents that are not in this squad that other nations will look at and say, how are Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, Harry Maguire, Trent Alexander-Arnold, etc., Morgan Gibbs-White, how are they not in this squad? How have you left them out? Do you fear leaving their talents out?
Say again the question.
Do you fear leaving those talents at home at all?
How I felt, or how I feel?
Fear?
A fear?
Yeah, do you fear leaving those talents at home?
No, I don't fear, because I'm very confident in the group that we chose and with whom we arrived, with which we arrive. Very difficult decisions, painful conversations, difficult for the players, difficult to explain to the players. But as I said, what we're trying to achieve, we try to achieve as a team, and we try to nominate a balanced squad. If everyone is selected, it was a given that from these 55 players, we have to leave some extraordinary talents, some extraordinary personalities at home. Either way, if we would have picked all these names, some other big 5 names would have been out, and we would talk about these names. So that comes with a job. I like these kind of decisions, even if they took us weeks and sometimes months to clarify the decisions. I think they bring clarity. I think they bring, in the end, a certain edge that is necessary. I tried to explain the reasons for the players. Could they be in camp? Did they do anything wrong? No. Could they be in camp? Yes, 100% sure. But for some of them, it's just the amount of players on a certain position. We didn't want to play the players out of position so much, and we want to give them a clear role, and it comes with difficult and maybe hard choices in the build-up to the tournament.
Hi, Thomas. You said a lot of painful decisions to make for players and difficult phone calls. One player who's released a statement saying he was disappointed was Harry Maguire. Do you understand him releasing a statement, or were you a bit surprised to see that after you spoke to him?
I was a bit surprised, but I respect his personality a lot. I respect his quality a lot. He had an outstanding season. I can see the disappointment. I can see the reason behind the disappointment. Still, I was a bit surprised because we had a private conversation, and he had the chance to express his feelings, which he did, and this is fair enough, because I can see all the reasons why he could be in the squad. But the decision is that we stood firmly with our central defenders that carried us through September, October, November. Some of them are part of a leadership group that took ownership and set the standards high, and we just it was a decision for these 23, for these 26 players, even if it feels that it's against individuals.
Sammy. Hi, Thomas. Can you confirm, please, the makeup of the leadership group and how you came to make those decisions with regard to the identity of those players? Just a quick.
How I decided who's in the leadership group?
Yeah. or why you decided those
Well, we had
players
a
were in?
March camp and we had a June camp, and that it was pretty clear for us who should be in there. I see no value in sharing it with you, to be honest. So I will keep it to myself. It's a group of 5-6 players, and this is always like it's always a fluidity possible in the group. But they took ownership, they took care, and they were massively influential. And I was very, very happy with the way they acted and interacted and how they stepped up. So there is no need to change that.
And just a quick one. Will you be inviting any extra players for the Florida camp to make up for the Arsenal players and Dean Henderson missing out because of their commitments at club level?
Yeah, I think Dino is not an issue because we have Jason Steele in camp, so we can start with 3 goalkeepers and later we have 4. But yeah, we will take some young players out who will train with us and keep the squad in the size that we need. That we have all the possibilities also for the 2 friendly matches to take care about the minutes and the load of the players. So this will be Alex Scott is confirmed, Rio Ngumoa is confirmed, and Josh King, and there will be 1 more player which we cannot name because it's.
Well, I didn't think anything was going to interrupt Thomas Tuchel's news conference ahead of the World Cup. However, we have to, because we've already had the big news that Michael Carrick is staying at Manchester United. But across the city, it's been confirmed that Pep Guardiola will leave Manchester City at the end of the season. They've got 1 more game, and that is on Sunday. Right, immediate thoughts, Carvey, before we go back to the news conference, immediate thoughts?
Well, quickly, it's an end of an era. Arguably, he is the greatest manager we've ever seen in England. It's been an open secret that he was going to be leaving Manchester City, and I think it's an open secret that Enzo Maresca is the favourite to take over from him.
Right, massive news from Manchester City, massive news from Manchester United. Let's get back to Thomas Tuchel.
You're here to make tough decisions. You're a winner. 60 years of hurt now. What makes you believe you can win this World Cup?
I heard recently a quote from Rafa Nadal, who said, "I'm not a winner. I'm a competitor. I'm a challenger," and that is basically how I arrive in the US for this tournament. I'm hungry. I arrive with hunger. I arrive with excitement, and I arrive as a competitor and as a challenger. And I think that is the role for us as a team. That is how I want the team to play. This is how I want the team to develop, and this is why we picked that squad, and that's why I'm so sure that we picked the right squad. It is about building a brotherhood. It is about building excitement and a certain energy, and then I feel that we can transmit this to our fans who are either in the stadium or back here in England pushing. And once we get this energy right, everything is possible. So we said it very early. We will try to go all the way. We will try to win this tournament, but it's very, very quickly. It just makes no sense to try and digest the whole cake at once. We will chunk it up. We will try to have the best possible pre-camp, have a little break in between, and then go to Kansas, switch locations, and go into the tunnel to start the group phase.
Where there is no doubt in quality is Morgan Rogers and Jude Bellingham. Some people will see that as a problem in terms of selection. How do you prepare to handle a very nice problem?
I think they're just 2 of the names who are potential starters on the same position. I think there is still variety within these positions, so they can also play together. That should not be a problem. If they compete for one position through the tournament, I think it is possible to compete for a position as complices, and you don't have to be enemies. In the example of Morgan Rogers and Jude Bellingham, they're friends anyway. So we have a couple of others. We have Bukayo Saka and Noni who fight for the same place in the club, and I strongly believe that it is possible that you fight for your place and still push your friend, your colleague, especially in international football, to the best possible performance, and that will come back to you. And we took a lot of care about that exactly this energy is right. They know their roles. I have no doubt that we chose the right players. I have no doubt that Jude and Morgan will get along well, and I have no doubt that they will be both decisive for us.
David. Hi, Thomas. You've picked John Stones, who hasn't played a lot of football for Manchester City this season, very experienced, but is he ready to play a meaningful part on the pitch for your team?
Yes, otherwise I would not have picked him. He's excited to come and I am excited to have him. I am a huge believer in John. I think he's a world-class player. He's an amazing character and a proven winner. He knows how to adapt to a winning culture. He knows how to adapt tactically on the field. He is still on highest level when I see him play, when I see him move. We analyzed a lot of his training data because I get your question. There's not a lot of proof in the last half of the season, unfortunately. The good news is he was available, so he was not out. He was available. The bad news was he wasn't selected as much as we all hoped for. But I think we can take advantage of our late start to the tournament in this case. We have still, I think, over 4 weeks until our first match. We will give him now. We will reconnect with our principals. We have the chance to let him play 2 friendly matches. And then I hope and I truly believe that he will have a strong tournament for us.
Another player you have picked, Noni Madueke.
Yeah.
Why have you picked him over, say, someone like Jarrod Bowen or even maybe Cole Palmer, who could play on the right as well?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Jarrod. Jarrod was just one of the players under the radar maybe, but he was just excellent in every camp. Excellent in every camp for us, and then gets the phone call that he's not on the plane. Does Jarrod suffer a bit from the situation at his club? It's difficult for him. And does Noni and Bukayo profit from the situation at their club? They play in finals. They back the Premier League title. They play in a Champions League final. So it's a question of concurrence. Without telling too much, the reaction of Jarrod was just outstanding. It just proved again what kind of character he is, how much he buys into the team spirit, even if it was a difficult one and a disappointing message for him. It was a very difficult choice to make. Noni was excellent for us in the matches that he played. I believe that he can be a difference maker. I even believe that he didn't play so regularly, but he is used to coming on, coming off, can be a big advantage. And I believe in his ability to change matches, in his ability to disrupt defensive organizations with his one-on-ones. So that was the choice.
Ethan and Henry.
Hi, Thomas. UK. Just over there. I just wanted to focus on one specific player that might have raised a few eyebrows. The left-back position, Jed Spence. You know, he's currently playing at Spurs. They're fighting for relegation at the moment.
Yep.
A lot of people are saying he's got no goals this season, no assists. Tactical reason.
First of all, he was excellent in every single match that he played for us. He suffers from the third change of coach at his club. Since then, he doesn't get a lot of minutes. Of course, he suffers from the situation. He is part of the situation as well. He's a part of the situation at Tottenham. He brings something to the group that we don't have in his profile. I think he loves defending. He's the fastest player in our squad, and he loves to defend one-on-ones. And that is just a characteristic that I would say makes him a standout fullback for us and a bit of a special fullback for us. He can, on top of that, play both sides. We had this discussion, to be very open to you, before the March camp with Chet. We said we're a bit concerned what is going on in Tottenham. You don't get the minutes. You don't have the impact that we want to see from you. If you come here in March, you have to prove yourself again, which he honestly did, because both of our fullbacks, Tino and Chet, were just excellent against Uruguay. And that was basically then was the decision that I can really trust him, and he brings something to our group which makes him unique.
Thomas, hi. First, good luck at the World Cup.
Thanks.
Secondly, you say that teams win championships and that it's not about the most talented players, but the history of the World Cup, it's Messi, it's Mbappe, it's Ronaldo, Romario, Zidane.
Good.
I mean, these are individuals who've won World Cups. How do you balance that?
I think we have these names, and hopefully we have one name in the end of it that says like he carried the team or he had the decisive moments. I think we have world-class players within our ranks. We have big names, but everyone, like I said, is committed to buy into the to be selfless, and we have proof of that, and that's why I feel very confident. And yeah, I agree with you. It seems like the big names are around, but if I look at our squad, I see some big names who can have all the headlines if we go all the way.
Hi, Thomas. Hi. You mentioned squad rotation earlier, and I just wondered how important is it to you that as many players as possible get minutes particularly in the group stages? Is that something that's a priority?
I'm not so. Yeah, ideally yes. But once we're in group stage, I will maybe adapt and change my mind, or adapt to the way of rotating. I mean, the challenge is clear. It will be hot. It will be humid. We can have a game in huge altitude, so it's one match more than usual because of the amount of teams. So yeah, would it make sense to rotate? Yes. And does it show also a level of trust to the players that we trust them? Yes. But then, I think we have a significant amount of players who hope to start, and it's more than just 11. So we will be able to rotate on a high level and give minutes and spread the minutes. Hopefully we can do this without losing momentum, without losing connections between the players, because we haven't played in certain formations since November. Because in March camp some key players were injured. So it has to be a mix, I think, of everything. History shows that it makes sense to rotate in the beginning of the tournament, but I also don't want to lose the chance to build automatism and to build connections on the pitch.
Hi, Thomas. You spoke about the spirit the squad need to have to win the World Cup. I was wondering how much of the spirit is already there, in your opinion, and how much you'll have to build it during the camp.
When I see the 26 reactions in the last 3 days to my phone call, then I think the spirit is there. It was amazing to see. I wish everyone could have seen what it means to the players, the joy, the emotion, to get this phone call, even of players where you could think, oh, well, he should be sure that he's on the plane. What it means to them, it would be nice to share it, actually. That just shows me that we chose the right group. We have to be sure, because we want to be a long, long time together, and we will be together 24/7. So no one can drive home and have an afternoon off at home and relax and come back the next day. We will stay together. Of course, that's why this is very important. And that's why we rely so heavily on the group that built this kind of spirit throughout these 3 camps in September until November. And I think we have a big part of it, and we will make sure in the first 10 days, especially in pre-camp, that the players engage, reconnect. They will have the freedom and the opportunity to reconnect off the pitch to make it a special summer for us.
You say the goal is clear, to win the World Cup. What do you think needs to happen for England to actually win the World Cup?
Well, the goal is to try to win it and not be shy about it, and then just to respect the game and the opponents and the amount and the obstacles that come with the tournament itself. What was the question in the end?
What do you think needs to happen for England?
Well, we need a bit of luck. We need to have our selection right, and then we need to stay healthy. All the players need to stay healthy. Then catch a momentum and build a brotherhood, like I say, play with courage, play with hunger, and take advantage of special moments, hopefully. Then we need a bit of luck, and we need crucial moments on our side, of course. Once we go, hopefully, then to knockout football, it's a game of margins. And it will not be done without luck, and it will not be done without nerves of steel if you need to overcome overtime or penalty shootout. So it's not everything is in our hands, but I think it's good to just have the goal spoken out, and we did this very early in the first camp. And after that, we straight away, 1 minute later, we said, okay, this is clear. That's why we're here. That's what we're trying to do. But let's focus on what we can influence, which is now in the next step, the 10 days in Florida.
James.
Hi, Thomas. Team chemistry and having good travellers in the group seems to be such a core idea for you. I just wondered if you'd spoken to anyone specifically about that, whether it's like other international coaches or Gareth Southgate, maybe?
No. We trusted our own experience. We trusted our own sports psychologist that we have with us. We trusted our observations throughout the camps and didn't speak with other coaches about it.
And
but we have feedback, of course, from club coaches, and when we go into stadiums, and a big amount of observation goes into behavior, not even like into football details, but goes into behavior. How is someone warming up? How does he behave to a decision against him? How is he connect? How does he react to what happens on the pitch if he's not selected? And from there we go.
Arsenal obviously in the Champions League final.
Yeah.
Villa have won the Europa League. Palace are in the Conference League final next week. Do you take the positives from that English players are winning things, getting to big finals?
Yeah.
Or does that increase concern about fatigue? Because a lot of people talk about the conditions and the fatigue of the group, which has been a problem for England.
It just shows me that this league is the strongest league in the world, the most competitive league. That's just another proof for me. And it just shows on the negative effect of it that our players will be tired after a long season. That's just how it is. It does not make it easier to go then to 3 countries and big change of climatic conditions and all that. But we are aware of it. We are very well prepared. We had best support of Team GB. We had full support, everyone at SGP, a lot of experts, a lot of people helped us with their knowledge and their experience. That's why we go out quite early to adapt. And I think once the excitement kicks in, once the adrenaline kicks in, we will overcome. And just accept the challenge. It will never be an excuse, but the level of performance of the English team just tells me that the concurrence and the competitiveness of the league is one of a kind.
Is that tiredness your biggest challenge, do you think, overcoming that?
Yeah, and it goes then back to getting the load right in pre-camp, getting the load individually right for the players, getting the headspace right, getting the attitude right. Don't go too early into the tunnel, getting our rotation right and the selection of the teams, because we want to stay a long time in the tournament, and we will take advantage of the full squad.
Jay, loads of leaks over the last 24 hours or so, but what stands out to you most from this squad? People who were in or people who were out?
I mean, people who are out, definitely, because of the names. I think, when Thomas Tuchel said at the beginning the kind of players he's going to be selecting, he did mention on form or in form. And players that have been left out, the likes of, Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, they are not in form. And he's stuck to his word. So, I mean, when you look at that, I like that. And I always said from the beginning that he should select the players that have been playing well to go into a major tournament. So when we talk about Ivan Toney and Ollie Watkins, I was a little bit surprised because obviously, especially Ivan Toney, he hasn't been anywhere near it pretty much. But then he's probably looking at, I'm just speculating here, when they was at the Euros last year, they were actually really good. And when Ivan Toney was coming on and Ollie Watkins were coming on, they were making a difference. And I don't think Harry Kane will come off much, but sometimes you need to go up there, play direct football. And when you've got the likes of Ivan Toney that can win the flick-ons, get hold of the ball, it's good for the team, so you can start running off the likes of Harry Kane and whoever's in that midfield, Elliot Anderson. I think it's good. I like it. I like it.
Carve, you're a very experienced correspondent. That's why you're a chief correspondent. But how much has this squad surprised you?
I think it's very shocking, very surprising. I think only Thomas Tuchel would have picked this England squad. I think he's left out some of the most talented English players. And I think this is probably the most shocking England tournament squad since, when was it? 98.
I don't know about that.
Before your time. Since 98, when
Hoddle and Gaza.
Glenn Hoddle left out Paul Gascoigne. I mean, you can make a very, very good case for saying not only should some of the players who've been left out be in England squad, they should be in the starting 11. I mean, he's left out players like Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Adam Wharton, Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, Trent Alexander-Arnold. These are some of the most talented English players.
Starting though.
Yeah, but because they don't fit into Tuchel's plans. He doesn't want to take. You know, he sees Foden and Palmer as number 10s, and he thinks he's got better options. And Morgan Gibbs-White, but Foden can play out wide. Cole Palmer can play out wide. They can play in different positions.
But he's always said,
Trent Alexander-Arnold.
He's always said, I don't see Phil Foden playing wide anymore. He wants him as a number 10. So the fact that he's got Eze there, he's got Bellingham there, he's got Morgan Rogers there, who I think you would agree is in better form than Phil Foden, you can understand why he's left Phil Foden out.
I can't understand it. I can understand why he's done it, because he's doing it. This is his squad. Yeah. This is all about the way he wants England to play, the options he wants to have off the bench. He's got it set in his mind. It's his way or the highway. And if you don't fit into that, you're not going to get in the squad.
The one thing I'd say is, look, we've known for a long time, it's been throughout the whole of Thomas Tuchel's 16-month reign, he's got a problem at number 10. He's got an embarrassment of riches there. There is no other nation on this planet that has the number of world-class options at number 10 that England have got. He said all the way along he couldn't take them all. He would take the tough decisions and leave the big names at home if they weren't performing well or didn't fit into his plans. He's kept to his word on that, in leaving Phil Foden and Cole Palmer out, and Morgan Gibbs-White, we ought to mention as well, who's been outstanding for Forest.
That's one that he maybe should be in.
You can say
that's the one I would say. He's in form.
But is he ever going to get on the pitch? Is he ever going to get on the pitch? The debate about Foden and Palmer and Morgan Gibbs-White will go on and on and on. It's one we've been talking about for 16 months. The real surprise for me is Ivan Toney. We broke you that news on Sky Sports News last night. That's a real surprise. He's not been anywhere near the England squad. He has played a total of 7 minutes in the reign of Thomas Tuchel. That's the only match action he's had on an international stage in that time. Thomas Tuchel brought him in last June for 2 matches. He came on in the 88th minute when England were 3-1 down here against Senegal. Sorry, it was at the City Ground against Senegal. What could he show in that time? Ivan Toney had 2 touches in that 7 minutes. So Ivan Toney has been selected on the basis of 2 touches he's had for England since Thomas Tuchel took the reign. I tell you why he's done it. And everybody knows that Harry Kane is England's first choice number 9. Of course he is. England's record goal scorer. He will start every big game, but it's going to be incredibly hot in America. Thomas Tuchel knows that he can't play every minute. He's going to have to cover him in cotton wool. That's why he's, for the first time, taken 2 other strikers, to give Harry Kane some support, so that he can take Harry Kane off and bring another option on. Rest Harry Kane, keep him for the later stages in the tournament, give him a bit of a rest. That's why he's done it. He's never done it before. We've never seen 3 strikers in a Tuchel squad before.
Can I make the case for Ivan Toney? The only thing I would say in his defence is that I think he knew that there was a good chance he was going to be in this squad for quite a while. I don't think it's shocked him too much. And I think the reason he's in the squad is because the World Cup is so much bigger now. 48 teams, there's an extra knockout round. You're almost guaranteed that if England get out of the group stage, which they will at some point be involved in at least one penalty shootout. And if they're in a penalty shootout, that means Harry Kane is not on the pitch, because Harry Kane ain't going to be playing 120 minutes. Who do you want to take penalties in a penalty shootout? Ivan Toney.
Don't you also want Cole Palmer?
I would have Cole Palmer. I would want Phil Foden. I agree. I want Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I agree with you 100%.
I want the best players in the squad.
Ivan Toney done an interview with Darren Lewis recently, and he was saying, if I keep scoring goals and I keep putting in strong performances, I'll be there or thereabouts. So he actually believed that he might get into this squad. Of course, like you said there, he hasn't been around it at all, from what we've seen. But I think when you're scoring goals and you're playing week in, week out, you've always got a chance. And like you said there, he's one of the best penalty takers in the world. He's going to be in that. I'll be honest with you, I don't see Kane coming off the pitch ever unless he's injured. I do not see that. I see players going in to support him, but I don't see him coming off.
But let's stick with the strikers
You
then.
think he'll play the whole of extra
I think he'll
time?
play the whole of extra time.
No,
I do.
Come on,
I do.
John.
I'll be honest with you. Listen, Kane is one of them players, whether you like it or not, he's going to be telling the manager, I don't want to come off.
But
Right?
Tuchel will take him off his own.
I don't think
Euros,
so.
Didn't he? I know he wasn't fully fit at the Euros, but he accepted coming off at the Euros.
No, he will
Ollie Watkins
accept
came
it
on.
because he's captain. He has to look that way.
With the strikers, how happy are you as a former striker that there are 3? Because we actually thought there might only be 2, plus you can put Rashford and Gordon there. But there are 3 out-and-out strikers as well as Rashford and Gordon.
Yeah, again, obviously you have to take a squad, right? There's always going to be players there for the what-ifs. What if Kane gets injured? You know, obviously, Ollie Watkins, yeah, he's done really well when he's come on, especially in the Euros, but you don't know how well he's going to do this particular season. And then same with Ivan Toney. Sometimes you need to have that pivot. So if you do put Watkins in and he's not playing well, at least you've got another choice to put Ivan Toney in to see how he will do. But I think it's good that 3 strikers have gone. And again, I genuinely believe that Harry Kane will pretty much play every minute of every game. And I feel like if Watkins or Toney is going to come on, it's going to be 2 play up front with him, not him coming off.
If we need a goal.
Yeah.
Okay. You can see there we've been putting up what the squad is on the side of the screen. But I heard you 2 earlier on talking about like a starting 11 of players who haven't made it. And you talk about an embarrassment of riches number 10s. If you look at the players who haven't got in, that shows how much depth we've got. There's no excuse for England not winning the World Cup if you can leave out.
Hold on.
If you can afford to leave out Palmer, Foden, Hall,
it's not that. It's not that. When you listen,
then
it's
you've
no
got to be
given
good enough to win the World Cup.
Yeah, but Tom, it's no given. When you look at the strength in
it's not a
France,
given.
Spain, Germany, Portugal, when you look at all them nations, people are sleeping on all these nations like England have no divine right to go and win with the players that we have at our disposal.
No, but which other nation
France.
can leave out players that we've...
France.
Can I make one point, Tom?
Name 10 like we've...
Tom, let me
If you give me time, I'll name 10 by the end of the show.
Let me make one point that Carvey and I were discussing recently, and this is a couple of old hacks to kind of work it out. What people forget is that all of the discussion around a World Cup squad announcement are the players on the fringes. Understandably, because we know who the core 16 are always going to be. We could name them now. We could probably name England's starting 11 now, and it's not involving, with all due respect, Ivan Toney and Ollie Watkins and some of the other players we're talking about now. England's core 11, core 14, core 16, I think, are going to be the players that are probably going to win England the World Cup. And yet, around a World Cup squad announcement, you get a lot of fringe players and players on the periphery that we're discussing. Because it's not a story that Harry Kane's in the World Cup squad. Of course it's not. So we talk about the players on the periphery. A classic example was the Qatar World Cup 4 years ago. All of the discussion in the media beforehand was centred on James Maddison, who was playing brilliantly for Spurs. And there was a massive debate, should he be in the England squad, should he not? He went to the World Cup. Biggest story of the day, biggest story of the week. He didn't play a single minute of football in that tournament. So let's just remember that when we're arguing about these players who aren't there and those that should be and those that shouldn't be. England's starting 11 and the first 4 or 5 players after that are what really matters.
But then I would say to that, I think them particular England squads, I think players were in there on reputation. Not necessarily because they're playing well. Now, in that instance, Maddison was actually playing well. But I think there was other names in that squad that wasn't playing well, but they're there because they are who they are. And I feel like this is why I like this squad, because he's put players in here that are playing well, that have been good for him when he's selected his teams, the likes of Morgan Rogers. He's been fantastic for Thomas Tuchel. He's played really well. He's scored goals. He's been a threat all the time. I feel like if I'm choosing a team to start today, he's starting as my number 10 today. I don't care, what Bellingham's done in the past. I don't care how good Bellingham is. I'm going with players that have been performing well recently for me.
We were talking about the players who haven't made it there. Let's go back to that because we've got a list of the amount of talent that England have not picked in this 26-man squad. We listed a few of them there with Lewis Hall, Cole Palmer, etc. This is an actual 11 for players who haven't gone. Okay, Nick Pope there, Trent Alexander-Arnold. I know we want to talk more about him. Maguire, who announced this himself that he wasn't in the squad. Levi Cole's been injured, but he's come back now and been very good. Luke Shaw, we've mentioned. Adam Wharton, not in the squad. Jared Bowen, we haven't mentioned him. Palmer, Gibbs-White, Foden, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin there up front. I mean, that is... How far would that go? And then, Carvey, how far would that side go at the World Cup? That starting
they'll definitely get out of the group stage. The group stage, I mean... It's going to be a walk in the park to get out of the group stage. You need one win.
You would think.
You need one win. If England beat Panama, they'll get through to the knockout stages. And I think that team potentially is as good as any side that Thomas Tuchel can pick at the World Cup. I'm just flabbergasted that a player like Cole Palmer is not in the England squad.
Is he the one?
I'm flabbergasted that, you know, like Levi Colwill's not in the England squad. I think Colwill and Maguire could be England's first choice two centre backs.
Of that squad there that
Mark
we've just
Gay.
seen, of that squad that I've just seen there, the ones that I would have in my squad today is Maguire. I'd have Maguire in over Quansah
100%.
for sure, because I think he brings experience. He's good in both boxes. We know how important set pieces are. And Luke Shaw. I like Luke Shaw there. Luke Shaw is going to be in there as a left back.
He's played every single game for Manchester
Yeah,
United.
exactly. If
He's got tournament
O'Reilly's
experience.
Exactly. And when he's played for England, he plays well. Like you said, and he's an experienced player. He gets good balls in the box. I'm surprised that he's not in there.
And for me, yeah, I think you're right. For me, the biggest surprise is Harry Maguire. And if we look at the defence, we look at the centre of England's defence, we know that Thomas Tuchel's first choice throughout the whole of qualifying has been Mark Gay and Ezri Konsa. I expect them to be his first choices. They're nailed on as England's first two. But why wouldn't you take Harry Maguire? 66 England caps. Fresh, because he's only played the last 14 games for Manchester United. He's played 14 of 16 under Michael Carrick. Only 2 he missed was because of suspension. He's been to 3 major tournaments. And, I mean, absolutely no disrespect to Dan Burn and to Jarrell Quansah, who have been included in this. But why would you not think of Harry Maguire ahead of some of those options? That's the one I can't quite get my head round. Because he's got the experience, he's in form, he's pretty fresh. And that's the one I can't quite get my head around. Everything else is a subjective call. But for me, that one
Rob,
strikes out.
Here's a question I have for you. Obviously, there's one more game in the Premier League left tomorrow, right? Do you think Tuchel is a kind of manager that, depending on who gets injured, just say a right back gets injured, do you think he's been in Trent, or do you think he's just bringing in another player?
I don't think he's bringing in Trent. And do you know what? As a football fan, it saddens me that a player of Trent Alexander-Arnold's quality will not be at this World Cup, will not be gracing this World Cup. I understand Thomas Tuchel's arguments why. He wants defenders who are primarily defenders. He wants his fullbacks to defend. He's got so much attacking talent on the pitch. He wants his fullbacks to sit deep and defend, which is not what Trent Alexander-Arnold does. But he's been outstanding for Real Madrid recently. The thought that he's not at that World Cup, the thought that Phil Foden, who is one of my favourite footballers, is not at that World Cup.
Yeah.
I know he's not performed for Manchester City. I know he's been struggling with England and disappointed on numerous occasions. But him and Cole Palmer and Trent Alexander-Arnold, it's a massive call for Thomas Tuchel to leave those players out. And I tell you what, it's going to be hot in the US. Thomas Tuchel will feel that heat if the England performances and results do not start going well, because there is a lot of people out there, fans and media, who will be ready to attack him and say, you've left some of the best players in the world at home.
Can I ask what it's like for you in that news conference, and you've been in them as well, Carvey, is that with this England squad, there's so many good stories, positive stories, but the fact is, the viewers and the fans, you have to actually ask about the negative ones. You have to talk about the ones who've been left out, which the manager doesn't want to talk about. He'll say, I want to talk about 26 men that I've
100%.
selected, not the ones who've left out. But you've got to ask those questions. How hard is that for you?
Do you know what? I love it, and Thomas Tuchel loves it as well. He loves a row with the media. Carvey's seen it and done it, and it'll be Carvey interviewing all the time out there in the matchday -1 news conferences the day before the game, as we call them. He likes a row. He likes to be challenged if you're asking him about football questions. If you're asking an intelligent question that's justifiable and you back it up with evidence, and he likes that. He likes the football chat, and so. Yeah, bring it on. What have we got? It's going to be in 35 minutes where I'm going to be talking to the England manager, and I've got some tough questions for him. Simple as that, because some of his decisions I don't agree with, some of them I don't understand, like Carvey.
You do, right. OK, so we've got the 26-man England squad for the World Cup. As Rob says, we'll be hearing from Thomas Tuchel at 11 o'clock here at Wembley. But until then, we have got loads more to discuss about this squad.